Hey, let's talk about the difference between timecode and MIDI. Obviously, the Rain 12 is a MIDI controller, essentially, whereas the Cross 12 still uses timecode, which is the high-pitched tone you get from the Serato record, like this. You remember that? I'm sure if you have DVS, you can hear it in your nightmares and your dreams, because even with everything off, you can hear that tone reverberating off of the tone arm. You can hear that high-pitched whine. So Pioneer DJ and Alpha Theta have set it up so that the Cross 12 outputs the control tone directly from the turntable. It sounds like this. So what are the advantages? What the control tone does is it runs into the sound card on this mixer into Serato, and Serato decodes that tone into transport controls. So you pitch it up. Serato detects it and says, hey, this is pitched up, therefore the tone is higher, therefore we must speed up. Fairly simple in concept, kind of complicated in execution. There's a few things Serato adds to the setup to ensure there's a certain amount of accuracy and that there's no sticker drift and whatnot. For the most part, that's how it works. Now, MIDI, on the other hand, is a purely digital medium. So it doesn't use a tone. The deck sends ones and zeros to Serato, and that tells you this pitch is over here. Let's move the pitch up in the software, the corresponding amount. This is spinning, so let's move the track. And it's moving forward and backwards. Let's move the track. There's a number of sensors that detect the motions and translates it into MIDI signals, as opposed to the sensor in here that detects motion and translates it into the control tone. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of timecode versus MIDI? The one thing that a lot of DJs swear by in timecode is the feel. Especially scratch DJs, where motions are very important, and tightness of the feel of the vinyl, because we're used to having a needle right on top. That's absolute. If the needle's here, you move here, the sound moves forward. You move back, the sound moves back, unless it skips, basically. So a lot of scratch DJs feel that timecode is tighter than MIDI HID. I personally don't feel that much of a difference, but one thing I can sort of hear is really slow scratches. Versus somehow I'm playing backwards. There we go. Versus you can, if you listen very closely, you can sort of hear a little bit more artifacts. Sounds a little bit more digital on here. You know, nobody's really going to notice when you're scratching. Like, but it's there. Sometimes that matters to people. People feel the tone feels tighter when you're moving forward and backwards, whereas a MIDI plate it's kind of like the difference between 24-bit and 16-bit, but instead of waveforms, it's a circumference. So the resolution of this circle is 3,600 ticks of resolution. So this entire circle divided by 3,600 gives you a certain amount of segments. And in between the segments, there's no difference detected. So the higher the resolution, the tighter everything feels. So 3600 ticks means this is 3600 degrees. That's a fairly small amount of space. So let's say this was 4 degrees, 4 ticks of resolution. So in between here and here, there would be no difference. The record wouldn't trigger until you passed here, and then same with here. I think it's fine. I have no problems with it. The third thing about timecode versus the MIDI is it's just a little bit more reliable, to be honest. If you've used the Rain 12s, the Rev 7, the Rain 1, weird stuff can sometimes happen. There's the infamous Platter helicopter where the platter just starts spinning really fast. I've had instances where I get a beat matched and the BPMs are identical, and yet one side is just speeding up, speeding up, speeding up, speeding up. And even though the BPMs are the same. To be fair, I have not seen that in the last couple instances of Serato, the last couple updates. So hopefully they fixed it. My suspicion is it's an issue with these digital pitch bends because this is just a controller. And I think they kind of incorporated it into the platter rubbing. Like if you slow down the platter a bit, it's supposed to translate into these pitch bends. And sometimes it just kind of gets stuck and starts speeding up. But again, I have not seen that in a while. But people have, and people take a little bit of people want reliable gear. So